Welcome to the Loan Repayment Strategies educational module on estimating your monthly student loan payments. This educational module has been created for you by the law school to help you plan for and manage the repayment of your federal student loans. It's one in a series of modules that are designed to help you make more informed decisions as you're managing the repayment of your federal student loans. And it's important to understand the usefulness of these tools because you're going to have choices to make in deciding how to manage the repayment of your loans. And one of those decisions you're going to have to make is what payment plan do you want to use to repay your student loans. And it could be helpful to you to know what would be the monthly payments under each of the available plans in helping you to make that decision. Because I think strategically, if you have a choice as to how much you have to be paying on each of your loans each month, then I think you want to choose the repayment option that's going to give you the most financial flexibility and the greatest control over how you get to spend your money. And that's going to be the payment plan that gives you the lowest required monthly payment. Because you can always voluntarily pay extra without penalty. There are no prepayment penalties. And you can decide to switch from one payment plan to another over time as your financial circumstances change. So being able to estimate what your monthly payments would be, given the amount of your federal student loan debt, for each of the available payment plans could be very important information to help you make an informed decision as to what payment plan you should choose initially. So that's what this module is designed to help you do by using a tool that's available from the Department of Education called the Repayment Estimator. And you need to do the math because you want to make an informed decision about how much you're paying on each of your loans each month. And the government has given you a tool that allows you to estimate your monthly payments. It's the Repayment Estimator, and it's available to you from the department's website, studentloans.gov. Now, to access that tool, you'll need to log in to studentloans.gov using your FSA or Federal Student Aid ID. That's the same ID you used when you did the FAFSA, the Free Application for Federal Student Aid. Once you log in with your username and password, then you need to click on the Go to Repayment Estimator option that you'll see under the Repayment Estimator section in the lower right-hand screen from that home page. This is what the home page will look like once you log in to studentloans.gov. And the arrow is pointing to where the Repayment Estimator is, and the link to going to the Repayment Estimator is what's highlighted there. Once you click on that link, you'll need to provide some additional information because some of the payment plans base your monthly payment on the amount you owe, and that information is already going to be uploaded into the calculator. But the newest of the payment plans base your monthly payment on a percentage of your household's annual discretionary income. Those are the income-driven repayment plans. And so to calculate your monthly payment for those plans, we need to know what your household's discretionary income is. And the government defines your household's discretionary income as being that portion of your household's monthly adjusted gross income that exceeds 150% of the federal poverty guideline for your family size and state of residence. Now, it's going to include your spouse's income in that calculation if you and your spouse file a joint federal tax return in all of the income-driven plans. It would exclude your spouse's income from the household adjusted gross income if you've chosen to use the pay-as-you-earn or payee plan or either of the IBR or income-based repayment plans. And so one of the factors you have to enter or update is what is your tax filing status. Now, in the newest of the income-driven plans, revised pay-as-you-earn or repay, it doesn't matter how you file your taxes. If you're married, the payment is going to be based upon both your income and that of your spouse. But if we're using or including your spouse's income in the calculation of your monthly payment, then we also have to take into account the amount of any federal student loan debt your spouse may have that's in repayment. So if you do indicate that you're married, then it is going to also ask you to provide information about the amount of your spouse's federal student loan debt as well. So here you see highlighted on the screen what the page would look like when you first log in and click on the Repayment Estimator. And I'm pointing to several things that you want to be mindful of. First of all, the black arrow points to where you need to update your tax filing status. And the options here are single, married filing jointly, married filing separately, or head of household. So you'd want to indicate that. If you indicate either married filing separately or married filing jointly, it will then also bring up a box that asks you to provide or to enter in your spouse's federal student loan debt. But it's only federal student loan debt that's in repayment that gets factored in this case. If you're single, it's not going to ask for that information. But you're also going to have to provide information about your household's adjusted gross income, your family size, and state of residence, because that also goes into the calculation. So the darker red arrow points to where you'll provide that information: your adjusted gross income, or AGI, your family size, and the state of residence. And if you're not sure what those are, if you click on the little question mark to the right of adjusted gross income and to the right of family size, it will open up a dialog box that explains what is meant by adjusted gross income. And essentially, that's the income figure you reported on your most recent federal tax return. And family size in this case is always going to include you. It would always include your spouse if you're married, regardless of how you file your taxes, and would also include any dependent children for whom you provide more than 50% of their support, regardless of where they may live or who may be claiming them as a dependent on a tax return. And it would also include anyone else who resides with you full-time for whom you're providing more than 50% of their support, such as a parent, a sibling, a domestic partner, a boyfriend, a girlfriend. Doesn't matter what their relationship to you is, they simply have to be living with you full-time, and you have to be providing more than 50% of their support. Now, for more information about all of the payment plans, both those plans based upon an amortization schedule, the original plans, and the newest plans, the income-driven repayment plans, I'd encourage you to consider also checking out the Loan Repayment Strategies educational module that discusses and reviews all of the different payment plans, because you can get more information about those looking at that module. Now, you can also do some added things from this site. You notice that the green arrow points to where you can view or add your loans. So you could view the current loans that you have. It would give you information about how much you owe, the interest rate for the loan, who's servicing the loan, and so forth. And if you were using this tool to do some forecasting, for example, let's suppose you're anticipating having to borrow additional loans at some point in the future, you could temporarily add in those additional loans to see how those additional amounts would alter your monthly payment estimates. Doing so would be only temporary. As soon as you log out of the site, then it will delete that information. Because you've logged into the site, it's going to already have uploaded all your existing loan information from NSLDS, or the National Student Loan Data System. You can also use this site to get an estimate of how much debt might you be eligible to have forgiven through the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Benefit if you click on the little button where the red arrow points at the bottom of the screen indicating that you want the forgiveness estimates based upon the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Benefit. Now, once you've entered all your information, then you're going to see that it's going to give you sample payment estimates. And here you see what that portion of the screen would look like based upon the amount of your debt, the interest rate you entered, your tax filing status, your adjusted gross income, family size, and state of residence. And in giving you estimates here, I wanted to give you an example. And so I made some assumptions. I assumed that the total amount of your debt was $90,000, and I used a weighted interest rate average of 6.1% because for borrowers who have graduated in 2017 and borrowed over the last 3 years, that's approximately what the weighted average would be given the current interest rates. For the calculations for the income-driven or IDR payment plan options, I assumed that you were single. I assumed your adjusted gross income was $71,000, that you had no dependents, family size was 1, and you were living in the state of Utah, and I used the 2016 federal poverty guidelines. Because 150% of the federal poverty guideline for your family size and state of residence is used as a proxy for your expenses. And with the income-driven repayment plans, what we're doing is we're trying to calculate how much you can afford to be paying each month based upon your income and expenses. Now, for income, we're going to use your adjusted gross income from your most recent tax return because that's what's required. Unless you indicate that you're currently earning less income, in which case we'd use whatever your current income is as documented by your pay stubs. But for your expenses, we're going to use a proxy. And the proxy that is used is equal to 150% of the federal poverty guideline for your family size and state of residence because it's recognized that you need a certain portion of your income to cover your basic living expenses. And the bigger your family, the more money you need. And that's why we use those assumptions that we use the poverty guideline and the family size and so forth. Well, with all of those assumptions and using the repayment estimator that's available at studentloans.gov, I'm showing you now what the initial monthly payments would be. And there are the payment amounts in the circled highlighted amounts. And it's listing them for all 9 existing repayment plans that are available for repaying Federal, Stafford, Grad Plus, and Consolidation loans. It includes the 4 original plans, the standard, graduated, extended fixed, and extended graduated plans. These are the original 4 plans, and with these 4 plans, your monthly payment is based upon an amortization schedule. It's based upon the amount of your debt, the interest rate, and the structure of the plan. With these 4 plans, your monthly payment is based upon what it would take to get all the debt paid off in either 10 years or in 25 years, using payments that are fixed or that increase in graduated steps. The other requirement with these plans is that at a minimum, your monthly payment has to at least equal all the interest that's accrued on that loan that month. It doesn't allow for what's referred to as negative amortization. So let's start with the standard plan. That is the plan where your payments are based upon a 10-year amortization with fixed payments. The initial monthly payment would be the same as all other payments, and given the assumptions we made, the initial monthly payment and the monthly payment would be $1,003 every month for 10 years. You will pay out a total of $120,355 over that 120 months. And to see more details about those payments under that plan, you could click on the little plus sign to the right, and that would open up a box that shows you more details about that payment plan. Now that plan is the default plan. So if you don't choose a plan, that's the plan that your loans will be on, because that's the plan that results in the least amount of interest accruing during repayment. And although the government gives you other options, they can't put your loans on a different option without you opting into those, because all the other options, because they initially start out with lower monthly payments, would result in more interest accruing during the life of repayment. The next option in the list is the other 10% or the other 10-year amortization option, the graduated plan. With this plan, again, all the debt has to be paid back in 10 years. But here, the payments are starting out low and then increase in graduated steps every 2 years. And there, the initial monthly payment would have been $574, but by the final 2 years, the payments would have increased to a total of $1,722. And because you start out paying less principal from the beginning, there is a larger amount of debt paid back. And the total payout is larger. Here you see the total payout would have been $128,507, or just a little over $8,000 more. The next 2 options are the extended options. And these were created because it was recognized that a 10-year amortization might not be giving borrowers enough flexibility. It might not be giving them payments that they could afford. So here, the government said, okay, well then let's give them 25 years instead of 10. By increasing the length of time you have to pay back the debt, it lowers the amount you'd have to pay each month, but it does increase the total amount of interest you would have paid over the life of repayment. With the extended fixed option, again, the payments don't change, and it's the amount required to get all the debt paid off in 25 years. And here you see that amount would be $584. So that's the effect of decreasing the monthly payment by a considerable amount from its counterpart, the standard fixed option, but you're going to be paying about $55,000 more. However, that is not a present value calculation, so you have to be very careful about comparing that number, the $175,339, with the $120,355, because it's not an apples-to-apples comparison. Because of inflation, the purchasing power of a dollar declines over time. And if you don't factor that into the comparison, then you're not really looking at how these differences would affect your purchasing power. Because it could be, if inflation were high enough, that taking longer to pay back the debt would actually have less of an impact in terms of the time value of money because of that. So again, you want to be very careful about that. Now, the other option over 25 years is where your payments are graduated, starting out low, increasing over time, again, as an approximation of how your income might be changing, although they're not based on your income. And here, the initial monthly payment would be $456, and it would increase ultimately to a high of $875. But the payments would have increased, instead of over 10 years, over 25 years. And in this case, that initial monthly payment under the extended graduate plan represents the interest-only amount. Because with these first 4 plans, you at least have to be paying all the interest as it's accruing each month. And it is with the extended graduated plan that the initial monthly payment does equal the interest-only amount. Now here, the total payout over the 25 years, or 300 months, would have been $190,679. Well, that is comparable to the total payout under the extended fixed, because we're talking about the same number of months, the same number of payments. And so here, you would have paid out about $15,000 more, but it's because you started out paying less of the principal initially in the early years, and so more interest was accruing on the debt in the early years. But it's not completely comparable to the 10-year graduated option, where the difference is more like about $62,000, and that's because, again, due to the time value of money, this is not an apples-to-apples comparison. Depending upon the rate of inflation, the extended graduate plan might have actually cost you less over the 25 years in terms of purchasing power. Now, the other 5 plans are the income-driven plans. And here, your monthly payment isn't based upon the amount of your debt or the interest rate. It's based upon your household's annual discretionary income. In other words, your adjusted gross income, your family size, the state of residence, and the poverty guideline. And the first two options, revise pay-as-you-earn or repay, and pay-as-you-earn or payee, it bases it on 10% of your household's discretionary income. Income-based repayment, IBR, the original IBR plan, it's based on 15% of your household's income. IBR for new borrowers is based upon, again, 10% of your household's income. And the final one in the list, income contingent repayment, which is the original income-driven option, your payments are based upon 20% of your household's annual discretionary income. And again, for more details about these payment plans, I'd encourage you to check out the module on the repayment plans that is part of the Loan Repayment Strategy series. So we see here that revised pay-as-you-earn, and IBR for new borrowers, the 3 10% income-driven options, your initial monthly payment would be $443, based upon an income of $71,000, a family size of 1, and the 2016 poverty guidelines. Now, you'll notice to the right of the highlighted amount, there's a range, $443 to $1,199 in the case of repay, $443 to $1,003 in the case of pay-as-you-earn, and $443 to $1,003 in the case of IBR for new borrowers. The initial payment, the $443, represents the payment for the first 12 months based upon the assumed income, family size, and state of residence. The final monthly payment estimate, or the second estimate, is that the estimated final payment based upon how your payments would increase, assuming your income increased at an annual fixed rate of 5% and your family size did not change. So these are just estimates that are not likely accurate, because it's not likely going to be the case that your income will increase by a constant linear rate of 5% every year. And it's also possible that your family size is not going to remain at 1. But at least it gives you an estimate. And here also we see here that the estimates are as indicated. Now, the reason the amount for the revised pay-as-you-earn is higher than for the other two 10% options is because with revised pay-as-you-earn, your monthly payments increase based upon how your income is increasing. With pay-as-you-earn and the IBR for new borrowers, your payments could max out or cap out. In other words, if your payments reach a point under those two plans where the amount you'd be required to pay based upon the standard 10-year plan would now be less than the amount required based upon your income, then they cap out at the standard amount. And you'll notice that is in fact what has happened here. With pay-as-you-earn and IBR for new borrowers, the final estimated monthly payment was $1,003. And that's because in those two plans, the payment can exceed whatever the standard 10-year amount was. And we see from the top item, the top option, standard, that was what the payment was. So under pay-as-you-earn and IBR for new borrowers, the payments capped out at that $1,003 amount. And then you eventually got the debt paid off, and they show here that the debt was paid off in 222 months. If you had gone for 240 months, if in fact you'd been in repayment under those two plans for a total of 20 years, and there was still a remaining balance, the remaining balance would have been forgiven, but it would have been a taxable benefit. Under revised pay-as-you-earn, there is no capping of the payments. The payments just keep increasing as your income increases. And so in this case, you would have had the debt paid off 4 months sooner, or in 218 months, because the payments didn't cap out at that $1,003 amount. And so you also would have ended up paying a little bit less because you got the debt paid off a little bit sooner. And again, there was no forgiveness, although the forgiveness here would have been after 300 months or 25 years. And again, if you click on the little plus sign to the right of any plan, it opens up more details about that plan, including information about any amount that might have been forgiven. Now with the other two options, IBR, the 15% option, and income contingent repayment, or ICR. With IBR, the original income-based repayment plan, the seventh plan in this list, the monthly payments are based upon 15% of your income, so they start out at $665, but once again, they would get capped out at the standard 10-year amount, which they do, and the debt is paid off in 150 months, and the total amount of $132,503 was paid. In the income contingent repayment plan, the payments are set at 20% of your income. They don't cap out, and here you would have had the debt paid off in 124 months, and you would have paid a total of $122,067. And again, in all those two options, there could have been forgiveness after 25 years, but in this case, in both plans, the debt was fully repaid before you reached that point where you would have been eligible for the forgiveness. And again, I caution all borrowers to be looking at the total amount paid, because unless the total amount paid when making comparisons is over the same length of time, then you're not making an apples-to-apples comparison. And again, if you're being strategic, I think you want to choose the payment plan that gives you the lowest required monthly payment, because that gives you the most financial flexibility. In this case, you see here that you'd actually have a tie. And so I'd encourage you to check out the loan repayment modules on the payment plans, and also the one that's specific to the revised pay-as-you-earn plan to repay, because we talk in those two modules about more details about how might you decide about how to break the tie when a tie exists. The purpose of this module is just to help you understand how to use the tool and what the information means that you're seeing, but also to give you a sense of what the payment differences would be under the different plans. So I'd encourage you to use that tool, because I think it can give you some useful information. Now, you ultimately have to choose your plan, because if you don't, you're going to be on the standard 10-year plan, and that's the plan that gives you the least flexibility, and that's not necessarily going to give you what you want. And so you're going to have to choose one of the other plans and notify your loan servicer, the company that's managing your loans, of what plan you want to use in order to do that. When? Typically, you're going to do this 45 to 60 days before the loans enter repayment. Your loans from law school are going to be entering repayment 6 months after you graduate. How? You simply notify the loan servicer. Either call them or go online. If it is the case that you, in choosing the plan, you are choosing one of the income-driven plans, you must also then apply for that income-driven plan, and the application is at studentloans.gov. What if you need to change plans? You have the right to do so. All you need to do is contact your loan servicer when you're ready to do so. And you should be able to do this at least once every year. And you're eligible to change as long as you're eligible for the plan you want to change to. What if you want to pay extra? Because you have the right to do that. There's no penalty for prepayment. Then I'd encourage you to call your loan servicer before you decide to do so the first time, so that you get specific instructions on how they want you to submit that extra or prepayment. For more information about repayment and about the repayment specifically of your federal student loans, it's always best to talk to your loan servicer. That's the company that's actually managing your loans on behalf of your lender. And they're the ones who can give you the best information about how the payment plans work, about how to select plans, how to change plans, and so forth. There's also some useful information online from the Department of Education. For general information about student loans, you go out to studentaid.gov. For specific information about the repayment of federal student loans, go to studentloans.gov. And to use the repayment estimator, again, go to studentloans.gov. But it also, as I've said several times before, you have opportunities to learn more information about your federal student loans and the repayment of them by checking out all the loan repayment modules. And I mentioned in particular the loan repayment module that goes over the different payment plans in more detail, and the loan repayment module that specifically focuses on the revised pay-as-you-earn or repay plan, the newest of the 10% options. But I would encourage you to not only check out those modules, but all of the modules that are available to you, because that will help you to make more informed decisions about how you approach and plan for the repayment of your federal student loans. Because it's important to make informed decisions so that you're not only successful in repaying your student loans, but you're also hopefully able to achieve your other financial goals more quickly. Federal student loans provide you with choice, flexibility, and safety. So you want to be strategic. You want to be making informed decisions. And part of the information you're going to need in order to make an informed decision is to know what would your monthly payments be under each of the available payment plans. In this module, we've told you about the Repayment Estimator, the tool the government has created so that you can develop an estimate of your monthly payments for each of your loans under each of the available payment plans. So I encourage you to take advantage of that tool so that you have better information. With that, good luck. I hope you have great success in planning for and managing the repayment of your federal student loans.